The abrupt ending, obviously, it shocked everybody for every sport. But your teams were on a roll heading into the NCAA's. Just take us through that time and the emotions not only you felt, but obviously the kids felt.
Well, it was quite of a kind of a roller coaster, to be real honest with you. I mean, when we first got there, we found out they weren't going to let any fans come in. That decision was made, probably about 3 days before the championship. Obviously, we were already there. We had all of our preparation and practices done at that point, and we were just ready to compete. And then, actually within probably, I guess, 24 hours of the competition to start, it was canceled. It was a big disappointment, obviously, for us, especially for all of our seniors, because that was the last opportunity for them, and they have not been granted an exception to be able to compete this year indoors. So that was a huge disappointment also. But I think when you compound that with the fact then a few hours later, we were hit with that other punch in the stomach that, they're canceling the outdoor season too. So all of that happened, within a short period of time. I guess the biggest disappointment for me personally was that the kids read it on Twitter before we ever had a chance to, call a team meeting and let them know. They had already, read it on Twitter that things have been canceled. So, when you have those kind of what you call emotional kind of things happening, you kind of like to have the group together and everybody, experience the disappointment together. But unfortunately, that wasn't how it worked out at that indoor. So it's quite a roller coaster, to say the least, Paul.
With all of your experience in coaching, was there any to even reach back on to help you, because this was unprecedented? So how did you deal with it? And what prepared you to handle all of that?
Well, I mean, I think that, our message to the kids was that, at that point in time, we felt like, and we were basically told that the NCAA would grant them, an additional year as a result of canceling the championship. Unfortunately, that did not turn out to be the case. So, it was a little easier to explain at that time that, while you're not having the opportunity this year, let's just thank goodness that you all are gonna have that opportunity next year, especially the kind of team we had. Obviously, those are, special teams. That particular one is the first time any institution had gone into the NCAA indoor, and both the men and women's teams were ranked number one going into the championship. So it was unique from that standpoint. And so, it was a real challenge. And then, of course, when we got back, we weren't able to continue to progress towards the outdoor season, which made it really tough. Kids had to make decisions whether they were going to stay here on campus or depart. So, we're just the kids, we're having to deal with a lot of emotional roller coasters and decisions that, the normal student doesn't have to make. So it was a challenge. And to be real honest with you, those challenges, while there's a different set of challenges now, the same kind of challenges are there for all of us in our sport. We have a roster of over 90 athletes, so we're the size of, the LSU football team. So, trying to get everybody to make all of the sacrifices that they need to make in order for this thing to come off indoors. But they've responded quite well. I've been real happy with the way things have gone. We've had to take a little different training approach, smaller groups and training, just in case there's a spread, to reduce the spread. There's other things we've had to do too. Is you had to remember, some of these athletes, they hadn't really done any intense training since March. And so coming back during the fall training, we've had to take it easy a little bit, and we're still doing that at this point. So while I think we're pretty well prepared to get started, I think that we have to be realistic about what our expectations are during the early part of this season.
Well, as tenuous as it all is, just give me an outlook of what you expect out of this 2021 team.
Well, we're really talented. I have to admit though that, with the senior athletes of last year not having the indoor season this year, it really is disappointing, and really, makes it difficult for us to have the kind of team indoors that we would like to have, because while all of those student athletes are back and they're with us, and they're training on a daily basis, they're unable to compete indoors for our team. So when you take a Tania Marshall and a Rayvon Gray, who are, probably NCAA champions themselves from last year, and you're not, you don't have them this year. I mean, that's a pretty big hit, for your indoor squad. But looking forward towards I think we're still going to be very competitive. Don't get me wrong, during the indoor season, because we've got a lot of athletes returning. But I think when we move outdoors, you're going to see a really strong, and I call diverse team. What I mean by diverse is that, in the four basic categories of sprints, hurdles, relays as one category, then you've got the jumps, you got the throws, and so forth, in the middle distance group. When you put that all together, when we get outdoors, I think we're going to be well represented with people that can score at the SEC and the NCAA championships in all of those different event areas. So probably a little bit more loaded, diverse kind of team than maybe what we've had in the past, but it's what our staff's been working for. And I think it'll all come together when we get outdoors as we navigate, I guess you might say, through this indoor season in preparation for the outdoor season.
Well, as we go into the indoor season, you've got three SEC returning champs in Laird, Harrison, and Gunnarsson. So that's got to be a pretty good starting point.
Yeah, it is, and they've been great leaders for us, over the last year, and I've been really pleased with all of the people that you just mentioned, the kind of approach that they've taken this year and trying to prepare themselves. You have to remember too, for us, I mean, they've been preparing themselves, not really knowing if there's going to be an indoor season, So I think that, it takes a pretty, strong-willed and focused student athlete to be able to manage the new way of taking classes online, and then coming to practice and recognizing, every day you had to put the work in, and recognizing that, hey, I hope we have an indoor season, and so it looks as though right now that's going to be possible. And those athletes, along with, some other returning athletes that I might mention, we have Milan Young back in the hurdles, Amber Anning at 400, Aaliyah Armstrong, who's from New Orleans, who's done a great job as a freshman, and Thelma Davies also returning on the women's side, and Simone Mason, who was off to a great start last year. And you mentioned Lisa, and of course, Abby O'Donohue, who set our school record indoors last year in the high jump. Those people are ready to go. We've got a few new people that have joined us that I think are going to help us too. Monique Hardy, particularly in the throws, as Coach Watson's done a good job with her. And then, of course, on the men's side, we've been so strong in the sprint hurdles, and all those guys, with Eric Edwards and Damian Thomas returning, gives us that strength to go along with the Terrence Laird, who you've already mentioned, and Javon Harrison, who just, is a superstar. I mean, he's just fantastic, and the only person to ever win the high jump and the long jump at the same NCAA championship. And Javon did that when we had the outdoor season a couple years ago. I think Jake Norris is coming along, and we've added a few new people. Most people know about Sean Burrell from right here in town, and what a talent he is. And I know he's going to be a big contributor for us. And we had a transfer, Noah Williams, come in the 400 from Akron University, and he's having a great fall. And then also we had a Minnesota athlete transfer in as Minnesota dropped their men's program. John Nerdahl, an excellent weight thrower and hammer thrower, has joined our squad. So, when you add all that together, once again, it's a pretty diverse group of kids, and from the standpoint of all of the events that we're going to be represented in at the NCAA championships this indoor season and outdoor. It's kind of exciting, to say the least. But we're going to have to take it day by day and week by week and get a little bit better, and avoid any of the things that can impact the squad. The COVID testing, which is we're following all the protocols there and doing the best job we can. You get concerned though when you start doing all the kinds of travel and hotel rooms and buses. So, but to this point, we're excited about getting started.
It's also an Olympic year, hopefully.
Yeah.
Just talk about how LSU might be represented in Tokyo.
Well, Paul, we have, some of the kids that I just mentioned, some of the athletes, that I just mentioned, I think really have an opportunity to make their Olympic teams, respective Olympic teams for their countries. That being said, on top of that, also, we have a lot of our former student athletes that have graduated from our program that have maintained their training programs here at LSU, and we're looking forward to them. So, them making their respective Olympic teams too. So, traditionally we'll have 10 or 12 student athletes or that are graduates or on our team that are going to be represented in the Olympic Games, and we don't take that lightly. Like no one does. I mean, we're trying to not only prepare them for the NCAAs, but also prepare them for the Olympic trials for their respective countries, as well as have them prepared to compete in Tokyo. So, that's been a roller coaster too, because last year was supposed to be the Olympic year, and now this year it's supposed to be the Olympic year. So, but we're, like I said, just taking it one day at a time, I think, and 1 week at a time, and one meet at a time is the approach that we're taking with all of our student athletes that are competing at that level at which they may have an opportunity to compete in the Olympic Games, which obviously in our sport is the big gun. That's the big thing to do is represent your country at the Olympic Games. So we're hoping to have keep everybody healthy and COVID free and move throughout the season and have them prepared for representing LSU at the NCAA's, SEC championships, as well as then possibly Tokyo.
How about personally for you, past the quarter century mark at LSU, 4 decades in coaching, what do you still I assume you still have the same passion for it as you did day one, even in a taxing time like we're in right now?
Well, I think that, it's just one of those things that, you have to adapt. You have to adapt to the changes in the sport. You have to adapt to the outside influences that are there. When I first started coaching, there was no Twitter, no social media, and you're dealing with all of the things that our new generation of kids are going through, and this has been a very difficult time for many of them. The Black Lives Matter, then also having to deal with in the online coursework is, some adapt a little better to that than others. It's been in many ways, I actually, really feel bad, especially for our freshmen coming in this year out of high school. This is not what as you're going through high school, this is not what you envision the university experience to be like. And so we're trying to create the best possible environment for them to be successful students and successful athletes that we can provide. And I must say that our medical people here at LSU and the university as a whole, and certainly our athletic department, have addressed these issues in a very positive way. And I think that that's been a real positive thing that's happened throughout this year as we deal with all the changes that are going on within the world. And obviously COVID has kind of led the way and created a lot of issues for us to overcome. But like I say, I think our department and certainly our coaches, and I have to commend our trainers and everybody, all of our support staff, from our sports psychologists right on down, they've all been really engaged and really been a big part of keeping our student athletes focused.
You look around and you saw Didi retire and some legends retire. How much longer do you want to do it? Do you still love it?
Yeah, I mean, I think that I look forward to things getting back to being, quote, more, what we would call normal day-to-day operations for us, because it's really hasn't created a lot of a different approach, maybe by myself, but certainly by the people that support us, the support staffs. They've had to work extra hard through a lot of this. Hey, I love practice. I love competition. And as long as I feel like I'm being a contributor towards the growth of our student athletes, not only as athletes but also as people, I'm looking forward. I tell people I don't feel any different, when I'm 64 than I felt when I was 30. So from my perspective, you know, it's not really any different for me. But I know this, that when the day does come, you know, I'm really going to miss the interaction with our student athletes and support staff people here at LSU. It's certainly something that it's going to, you know, during the pandemic, I told my wife, you know, when March, April, May, when, you know, we were really kind of just stuck at home. And I said, man, if this is what retirement's like, I don't know that I'm ever going to retire, because I didn't enjoy that. You know, I have to keep busy. I love doing things. So, you know, to answer your question, I don't know when the end's in sight. You know, I know this, that we're also appreciative of everything Dee Dee Bro did to, you know, bring that sport to the forefront here at the university, and all the hard challenges and work that she put in to make that happen. I'm in a little different situation. I inherited a great program already, you know, and I had the opportunity to try to accept the challenges of keeping it, you know, elite, and keeping it where we're always in the hunt to win national championships. The thing is that it really never gets any easier. You know, there's a great conference, the SEC. The teams are just outstanding, you know, on both the men and the women's side. That's pretty obvious when you go to the nationals, and most of the teams in the top 10 are SEC teams. So, you know, those are the challenges that we love being in, and I look forward to continuing that as long as I'm healthy and still energized to do the job.